Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Ugly Truth.
The Ugly Truth.
By Jeff Kinney. Narrated by Ramon de Ocampo.
September. Thursday. It's been almost 2.5 weeks since me and my ex-best friend, Rowley Jefferson, had our big fight. To be honest with you, I thought he would have come crawling back to me by now, but for some reason, that hasn't happened. I'm actually starting to get a little concerned, because school starts back up in a few days, and if we're gonna get this friendship back on track, something needs to happen quick. If me and Rowley really are through, that would stink, because the two of us had a pretty good thing going. Like how he pulled me up the hill while I sat on my skateboard drinking a soda. Now that our friendship is history, I'm in the market for a new best friend. The problem is, I invested all my time in Rowley, and I don't have anyone lined up to take his place. The two best options I have at this point are Christopher Brownfield and Tyson Sanders. But each of those guys has his own issues. I hung out with Christopher for the last few weeks of the summer, mostly because he's a really excellent mosquito magnet. But Christopher is more of a summertime friend than a school year friend. Tyson is nice enough, and we like the same video games. But he pulls his pants all the way down when he uses the urinal, and I don't know if I can ever get past that. The only other kid my age who's not paired up with someone is Fregley, but I ruled him out as best friend material a long time ago, when he said, "I'll bet I can fit your whole foot in my mouth." Anyway, I'm still keeping the door open a crack for Rowley, just in case. But if he wants to save this friendship, he'd better do something fast. Because the way things stand, he's not going to come out looking very good in my autobiography. Greg Heffley, A Life.
A Life.
By Greg Heffley.
By Greg Heffley.
When you turn to chapter 8, Childhood, it would start with, "I used to live near this kid. I think his name was Rupert, or Roger, or something.
Awesome.
With my luck, though, I'll go on to be rich and famous, and Rowley will still find a way to ride my coattails. Like maybe writing his own autobiography, called I Used to Be Friends with Greg Heffley, by Rowley Jefferson, or something like that." Saturday. The reason I don't see things changing between me and Rowley is because he's already found himself a replacement friend. Or to be more accurate, his parents did. For the past few weeks, Rowley's been hanging out with this teenager named Brian. Whenever I go by Rowley's house, he's out in his front yard throwing a football or a frisbee with a guy who looks like he's in high school or college. Well, I did some poking around and found out that this Brian guy isn't just some normal kid from the neighborhood. He's part of a company called Cool Brian, which is sort of like a big brother for hire kind of thing. In fact, I'd be willing to bet money this guy's name isn't even really Brian. I mean, he drives a van that says, "Cool Brian, wholesome mentors for growing boys. Call 555-6739. Who does that? Mom said she thinks the Cool Brian thing is a great idea because it gives kids a role model they can look up to. That makes me kind of mad because the way I see it, I'm Rowley's role model. I mean, who else would teach Rowley how to set up a tripwire for his parents when they're getting the mail? Good times. And now Rowley's parents are paying some guy to do what I've been doing all these years for free. The thing that really burns me is that Rowley probably doesn't even know his parents are paying this guy to spend time with him. And I don't think it would bother Rowley if he did know the truth. Today, I saw Rowley hanging out with a different Cool Brian. So Rowley's regular guy must have had the day off. But I could tell Rowley didn't even notice. Tuesday. Today was the first day of school. I don't want to jinx things, but it's looking like this could be a great year for me. In homeroom, we got our textbooks for the semester. My school can't afford to get new books every year, so we usually get hand-me-downs. But when you get a book that 10 kids had before you, it makes it kind of hard to do any actual learning. There's more doodles than words on every page. Usually, I have really bad luck when it comes to previous book owners. Last year, I got a math book that had belonged to Brian Goot. And that didn't exactly up my cool factor in the hallways, because Brian is a notorious nerd. But this year, I totally lucked out. When I got my math book, I found out it used to belong to Jordan Jury. Jordan Jury is the most popular kid in the grade above me, so carrying his textbook around should translate into some major popularity points. One reason Jordan is so popular is because he always has these big blowout parties, and it's really hard to get invited. But I figure this algebra book could be just the thing I need to get on his radar. Speaking of popular kids, I sat near Bryce Anderson and his group of friends at lunch today. Bryce is basically the Jordan Jury of my grade, and he's got a bunch of cronies who are always going along with everything he says. And those guys are loyal to Bryce no matter how dumb he makes them look. See, Bryce Anderson has the right idea. He doesn't actually need a best friend, because he's got a bunch of lackeys who basically worship him. The reason me and Rowley didn't make it is because we were equal partners in our friendship, and I don't think that kind of model has a chance of working out. Friday. At school today, I heard Rowley tell some kid he was going to a rock concert tonight. I admit I was a little jealous, since I've never been to a real concert myself. But when I found out Rowley was going to see this guy named Joshy, who all the girls scream for, I was glad I wasn't invited. Rowley's gonna be the only guy there. Still, it kind of irks me that Rowley is having more fun than I am. In fact, it seems like everyone is having more fun than me these days. There are some kids in my grade who post their pictures online. And from the look of things, they're all having a way better time than I am. At cheerleading camp, hanging out with their friends, eating ice cream, singing karaoke to their stuffed bears. I don't want people thinking my life is lame, so I decided to take some pictures to show how great things are going for me. All you really need is a digital camera and a photo editing program, and you can make it look like you're having a total blast. I stuck my picture in all these cool places, like watching beach volleyball, line dancing, pillow fighting with the girls, and inner tubing with cool people. Tonight, I was right in the middle of creating a wild New Year's Eve party scene when I got busted by Mom. Oh well. Mom won't let me post photos on the computer anyway, because of privacy and all that. Or maybe it's because she learned her lesson after letting my older brother Roderick post his pictures, mostly with his band, Loaded Diaper. Roderick's been trying to get a job so he can buy a new drum set, but nobody will hire him. Mom told him that nowadays employers look up the people they're thinking of hiring, and that his pictures are probably hurting his chances. So Roderick replaced his band pictures with one where he's looking serious, wearing glasses, and reading an encyclopedia. I don't think it's gonna work. Wednesday. This year, everyone in my grade has to take advanced health, which covers some top secret stuff that I guess they didn't think we were ready for until now. In the first few classes, the boys and girls were mixed together. But today, Nurse Powell said she was gonna split us up. She sent the girls down to Mrs. Gordon's room, and then she put in a video for us boys to watch. From what I could tell, the video was at least 30 years old, so I'm sure Dad watched the same exact tape when he was my age. It was called Say Hello to the Brand New You, Boys Edition. I'm not going to describe everything that they showed in the video, because it was actually pretty disgusting. If you ask me, some of that stuff doesn't really belong in a classroom. Rowley didn't even make it through the whole video. He passed out at the 2-minute mark when they said the word perspiration. To be honest with you, I don't know if Rowley's ready for this stuff. He's basically like a little kid. He told me once that he avoids the older kids at school because he's afraid he's gonna catch puberty. In fact, now that I think about it, I haven't seen cool Brian for a while. So I wonder if Rowley's avoiding him, too, because he thinks he's contagious. The same kind of thing happened in last year's health class when they did a smoking unit. The teacher said that you never know who's going to offer you a cigarette, and that it could even be your best friend. Well, after Rowley heard that, he wouldn't even walk on the same side of the street as me for a solid month. Believe me, I don't need some teacher to tell me it's not cool to smoke. My grandfather convinced me of that last year on Thanksgiving. I caught him actually standing on the toilet trying to sneak a smoke by blowing it out the vent on the ceiling. Desperation for sure. Anyway, I think Rowley's just one of those kids who are always going to be a few years behind everyone else maturity-wise. Rowley doesn't even know how to tie his shoes yet, because he's the kind of person who has Velcro everything. Last year, Rowley's mom bought him sneakers with laces, and I can't even tell you how many times I had to bail him out. I guess it probably should have been a warning sign that my best friend was impressed that I knew how to tie my own shoes. Thursday. Today I was reading the comics in the newspaper, and I saw an ad that caught my attention. It read, "Could your child be the next Peachy Breeze kid? Open tryouts at the Liberty Street Mall this Saturday." It was for Peachy Breeze ice cream, and apparently they're looking for a new spokesperson. Peachy Breeze has those commercials on TV that run non-stop, with that kid with the freckles and the high-pitched voice who says, "Peachy Breeze is peachy keen." The Peachy Breeze kid used to be kind of cute, but over the years he's gotten a little seedy looking, and he sounds a little more like, "Peachy Breeze is peachy keen." So I guess they're looking for someone to take his place. Well, I'd be perfect for the role. First of all, I love ice cream, so it wouldn't be hard for me to do the acting part. Second, I would be willing to miss a lot of school to fulfill my Peachy Breeze obligations. And they wouldn't have to worry about me getting too old for the part, because I'd take whatever I needed to take to stop growing. The only stumbling block I can see is that Dad hates the Peachy Breeze TV ads because he thinks the kid is annoying. So I don't think he'd be too thrilled if I became their new spokesperson. There's just something about that kid that gets on Dad's nerves. In fact, I think he hates the Peachy Breeze kid even more than he hates Little Cutie, which is saying something. Every time Dad sees a Peachy Breeze commercial on TV, he writes the Peachy Breeze people an angry letter saying that the ads drive him crazy and you'll never buy any of their products. A few weeks later, Dad gets a response in the mail from Peachy Breeze, and it's always the same thing. Coupons for free ice cream. It's been going on like this for years, and if something doesn't change, we're gonna have to get an extra freezer to hold all of our Peachy Breeze ice cream. Saturday. I told Mom about the Peachy Breeze Kid Contest last night, and she said it seemed like an exciting opportunity. But it turns out she was thinking of my little brother Manny when she said that. In fact, this morning, Mom and Manny were ready to take off for the audition without me, but I caught them just in time. Mom seemed surprised that I wanted to be the Peachy Breeze kid, and said I might be too old for the part. At first, I thought that was ridiculous, but when I saw my competition at the mall, I could kind of see where she was coming from. I was about 2 feet taller than any of them. I figured I could charm the judges and get the job anyway. Plus, I had an edge, because I was the only kid trying out who could read a cue card. There must have been 200 kids in line, and I realized that if I wanted the job, I was going to have to come up with some sort of gimmick. So I decided I'd jump up and click my heels together when I said the Peachy Breeze slogan.
Did you know the Walmart